Coach Dan here from Human 2.0. Today I have a video on plantar fasciitis and some exercises that we can do to relieve some of the symptoms, but also treat some of the causes, alright? So we got to take a look at more than just the foot whenever we're looking at this burning sensation underneath, okay? So just as a reminder, if you are having that kind of burning, sharp pain right kind of near your heel bone or anywhere in the arch up into the toes, chances are it could be plantar fasciitis, right? It attaches to that calcaneus bone right there. Generally, it's going to be worse in the morning, maybe get better throughout the day. Those first few steps are probably going to be the worst of the day. So let's take a look at how we can kind of mitigate some of those symptoms and also treat the causes, okay? So number one, a little foot massage here. I like to use a golf ball, right? You can do this seated or standing. You can use a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, anything that you can handle. I don't want you to take the pain level, the discomfort, any higher than a 7 though, because it's already going to be pretty sore, right? You can even use your hand for this and give yourself a little massage. Side to side, forward and back for about 2 minutes per side. That should do the trick, just to get some blood flow there. We're not really breaking up tissue, we're getting blood flow to the area and just kind of relieving some tension, sending some nutrients to that spot. Next up, we're going to look at kind of a global wake up, loosening up of the whole kind of leg right through the foot. So we're going to do a downward dog, and we're going to pedal the feet. But what I want you to do is to get maximum tension here. We're going to keep it so that my hip is over my knee, my shoulder is over my wrist. From there, I push my hips up. I still have a bend in my knees. I'm getting some flex in my toes as well. Push one heel down, feel it roll right through the bottom of the foot, into the Achilles, into the calf, the soleus, the hamstring, and then just alternate, all right? So we would just do this for anywhere from 20, 30, 40 reps. You can even do it for an amount of time. You can definitely do that a couple times a day. That's just going to kind of wake up the whole posterior chain, loosen it up a bit, and just relieve some tension. So really good symptom relief there as well. Next up, we're going to kind of look more into what's going on with the ankle and what causes plantar fasciitis and some things we can do. So actually, if we take a look at this and we look at our gait, whenever we walk, right, if we don't have good range of motion in that ankle, right, in that dorsiflexion, and our ankle's kicking out to the side, our heel's kicking out to the side, whether it's because we're flat-footed in the arch, right, or we're just weak in the hip, we want to try and straighten that out so that we aren't kicking out that heel to the side and we can get our gait on a good pattern. Gait is a big factor. Anytime we're taking many steps a day and it's not in properly, we're probably going to cause some irritation somewhere, right? So what I want to look at first is how healthy is the joint. So we're going to take a look at ankle cars, and you can do this every single day. Use as much range as you can, and we're just going to draw as big of circles in a controlled way with our ankle, right? 5, 10, 15 reps per direction, and then switch directions. The key here is to try and make as big of a circle as possible. We're not just flailing our ankle around, right? So we want to do that, A, to keep the ankle moving, but B, also just see how healthy the joint is. If you can barely move it, maybe there's something else going on that's causing that plantar fasciitis, right? Next up, we're going to look at the calf stretch, but with regards to gait. So I got this one from Katie Bowman. So she's a biomechanist that really looks at alignment and gait barefoot. So all I'm going to do is put my foot up on a yoga block, balls of my feet on the yoga block, and then from there, keeping a tall posture, stacked posture, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips. I'm only going to move forward as far as I can, because if I take a step like this, now my hip's kicking out, or maybe I'm trying to get more plantar flexion, or sorry, dorsiflexion, more of this movement by creating space by digging my knee, right, in and kicking the heel out. That gives me a little bit more range as opposed to being in that straight alignment. So we want to look at this from an alignment perspective. This is also one of my favorite calf stretches from now, since I learned this from Katie Bowman. All right, so again, we're just going to hold this for 1 to 2 minutes per side. right? Every single day, maybe even a couple times a day, and just, you cannot be strict enough on this. I don't want you to just kind of sacrifice, because this is how I take my steps every day if that's where my range of motion is, right? So keep that alignment intact for that. Next up, we're going to look at the toe stretch. Couple options here. All right, we're going to get down onto our hands and knees, right? From here, we just work on flipping our toes. Maybe this is enough for us, and maybe, right, we can really get into some good flexion here. The more you sit back, the more that we're going to get a good stretch through that toe. Remember that we have that fascia running through the entire foot. If that's too much for you, a couple options. We can stay up here, right, less of a stretch, or we can do the same stretch, only this is just a sandbag. You can use anything that you have for this. We can look at just elevating our knees to take some of the stretch out of it. And again, we can always be up here while doing that, okay? So, toe stretch, very good option for that as well. We also want to look at the glutes, okay? So, again, I've talked a lot about that knee kicking in and the ankle kicking out. Knee stability, ankle stability, a lot of that comes from the glutes, right? If we have tight rotators in our glutes and our hips, right, our gait is going to be off, our knee is going to sacrifice, cause irritation in that Achilles and that plantar fascia. So we want to look at glute piriformis stretch, figure 4 stretch, cross that one leg over, bring the hand through and underneath. We can give a little bit of extra if we want by pushing this leg out. Other than that, we just hang out here for a couple minutes per side, get some loosening up in that hip joint, right? Make sure our hip is working properly so that we can eliminate that as a cause of this, the symptoms of plantar fasciitis. Last thing I will say is foot strength, ankle strength, hip strength, everything all in one here, single leg balance, right? So take your foot off, try and balance. If you need to hold on to something, that is totally fine. Next step, closing your eyes, feel your foot working. We want to look at a short foot, so pull those toes in, right, without losing contact to the ground, right? Basically balance here for 20-30 seconds if you can, up to a minute. Switch sides a couple times a day. That will strengthen the foot, strengthen the knee, strengthen the hip. All of those drills are great for relieving symptoms, but also looking at the cause of plantar fasciitis. Give it a try, let us know. We will see you guys next time.